What's up, guys? Welcome into your Week 10 BFFL review. I'm shooting this on the eve of the beginning of Week 11. Full disclosure, I have the Steelers-Titans game on in the background right now, but for the sake of this Week 10 review, I'm going to pretend like I don't know anything going on. Like I know nothing going on about Antonio Brown's 3-touchdown, 39-point game right now. Anyway, let's talk about Week 10. Big news for the Umlauts on the home front here. I've had a week of puffing my chest out as my team moved into first place all alone with a big win over Fuck You. The 6-4 division rivals met, and the Umlauts came out on top. So somehow, against all the odds, my team is 7-3, still boasting the fourth worst point total in the league. But you know, I'll take what I can get, and I'm in first place right now. Got a big matchup with Scissor Me Timbers this week. Me and Bri have a little friendly wager on the game. It's a big matchup, so that's exciting. Another big matchup we have in Week 11 coming up. I know I just said I was going to talk about Week 10, but hey, let's preview Week 11. Another big matchup in Week 11 is we have Big Ol' TDs and Kareeming Off Course matching up, and that's a pair of 4-6 teams who still have a sprinkle of hope for the playoffs, a little spark that could build into a beautiful playoff fire. And basically one of those teams is going to be probably eliminated from the playoffs for sure. So let's see who that's going to be. The other team is probably going to be feeling better about their chances when they get to 5-6. And then elsewhere we have Shiny and Swishy, who's sitting at 5-5 in the Sable division in third place right now. They're taking on Keep Pounding, the bottom team in the league, to put it kindly. So just probably hoping I'm winning that one, getting to 6-5, and then that'll put some pressure on Fuck You, who's playing the Pittsburgh Feelers, who are probably playing the role of spoiler this week, but you know, Dan's got some motivation to get a win with Jeff creeping up behind him. And then we've got Chill Out Inc. taking on Dalvin and the Chipmunks. So, you know, Tony's probably hoping for a win there. Graham's going to hope to play spoiler. Maybe not as much playoff intrigue, but, you know, still should be an entertaining game nonetheless. So, that's Week 11. So let's take a look now at the Week 10 winners and losers, the Golden Hot Dog, the Boob of the Week, and then we'll go into our game recaps, alright? What do you say? And here we have the wall of winners of the hallowed Golden Hot Dog. Yes, the second greatest trophy in sports, of course behind only the BFFL Championship Trophy. And guess who won the Golden Hot Dog in Week 10, everybody? That's right, I'm going to give myself a pretty hard pat on the back this week, because it's the Umlauts. They've won 3 in a row. They won the Golden Hot Dog. They're peaking at the right time, folks. Look out for the Umlauts. So as I mentioned, it's my first appearance on this board, hopefully not my last. And a big shout out to Alvin Kamara for helping me get there. And over to the dingy, ugly picture frames and the pictures of Eli Manning's doofus face. It's the Boob of the Week wall of losers. And unfortunately, Week 10 featured a repeat winner or loser of the Boob of the Week. It's Keep Pounding, who has now taken home the boob the most of any team at 3 times. You know, guys, I talk about Keep Pounding later with their matchup. I don't want to pile on. It's been a bad year. They're 2-8. They only had 2 guys score double-digit points this week, so, you know, let's take it a little easy on Jerder. Alright, let's take a gander at that Week 10 scoreboard. First up, we'll look at a matchup between a pair of teams at the bottom of the Summerall division. We had Keep Pounding coming into town to face Big Ol' TDs, and Jeff's team got the win this week. He made a nice pickup in Jared Goff, who I wanted, but unfortunately Jeff was ahead of me in the pecking order. But Goff continues his unheralded, really good play this year. Got 26 points against a Houston defense that's certainly given up its fair share of fantasy points to quarterbacks. And Big ol' TD's got the win despite continued struggles from Leonard Fournette, who's hit a bit of a slump here. He was suspended by the team last week for some kind of conduct, but this week he just sort of got stuffed, only got 5 points. But Jeff got a nice performance from Jarvis Landry. And I mean, that was about it, but it was enough to get him the win against the lowest scoring team of the week, Keep Pounding, who, I don't want to kick him when he's down, but it's been a kind of a lost season for Jurger's team, certainly feeling the effects of a Bridgeport Bowl hangover. Not much has gone right for them this year, despite, the great talented LaShawn McCoy. He just hasn't been enough to carry the team. For some reason, Jurger started Jeremy Hill this week, who got him a goose egg. He's rostering 2 kickers right now, so things just not quite going well for Jurger this year, but, there's always next year. All right, next up we've got a game between a pair of Sable Division rivals moving in opposite directions, as Dalvin and the Chipmunks took on Shiny and Swooshy, and Shiny and Swooshy rolled in this one thanks to good games out of Jeff's wet dream Marcus Mariota. Well, maybe not a good game, a decent game. AJ Green had a really nice game, but the story here this week was Robert Woods, who just ran roughshod for the Rams, caught 2 bomb touchdowns, 35 points, just a monster. He's been a key late season addition for Shiny and Swooshy, and Jeff's team's on a little bit of a hot streak here. He's won 2 straight, and he's just a game out of second place and a playoff spot in the Sable Division. So, Jeff's picking a good time to come on strong here towards the end of the year. For Graham's team, the struggles continue. He's dropped 3 in a row now. They're 3-7. Injuries are piling up. Devontae Freeman left the game this week with an apparent concussion. He took a goose egg. Doug Martin just did a whole lot of nothing. Aaron Jones, he left the game against the Bears. He's out. He looked like a promising late season running back. Will Fuller has been banged up, and with Deshaun Watson hurt, he's basically useless. So not a lot of bright spots for Graham here towards the end of the season. We'll see if Dalvin and the Chipmunks can turn things around, but it might be tough this week as they take on Chill Out Inc., who's 7-3 and second place in the Summerall Division. All right, moving right along. Next up, we have a matchup that might have seen the end of a fantasy career, as earlier in the week, Jason was texting that if he lost to John's team with Jay Ajayi and Kareem Hunt and Alex Smith on a bye week, he might just retire from the BFFL. And that's exactly what happened, as Kareeming off course just took Pittsburgh Feelers out to the woodshed, beat them by about 40 points. The backup all-stars for Kareeming off course delivered on their promise. Cam Newton had a surprising, really good game, throwing to Devin Funchess, who also had a really good game, caught 2 touchdowns. Larry Fitz had a good game, and everything was kind of working for Kareeming off course. For Pittsburgh, not a terrible effort by any means, but Matt Ryan, subpar. Todd Gurley didn't quite have a Todd Gurley game, and maybe most surprising was Antonio Brown, who you would have thought would just roll in Indianapolis. He only got 5.5 points. So, have we seen the end of Jason Acosta's career in the BFFL? I would certainly hope not, and I don't think so, but it was kind of funny how things unraveled this week. For John's team, they've won 2 in a row. Their playoff hopes maybe are still alive. For Pittsburgh, they're now 3-7. They've dropped 4 in a row, and the playoff window looks to be closing on them, although, there's always still the role of spoiler to be played. The following game review is brought to you by Good Juju Beer by Left Hand. Next, we have a battle for first place in the Sable Division as the 6-3 Umlauts visited the 6-3 Fuck You, and the Umlauts came out on top. They are now atop the Sable Division by themselves after notching their 3rd straight win and earning the Golden Hot Dog in the process, knocking off Dan's team 146 to 99.5. Key in the victory for Charles was Alvin Kamara, who is coming on like a freight train in the second half of the season. The Saints just did nasty, nasty things to the Buffalo defense with their run game. Kamara and Mark Ingram both had monster games, and Juju Smith-Schuster made his first start for the Umlauts after being picked up 2 weeks ago, and he proved that 97-yard touchdown catch was no fluke, as he had a good game against the Colts. For fuck you, the biggest culprits were Marvin Jones Jr. and Chris Thompson, who both had down weeks, and Dan is still struggling to find running backs after losing David Johnson at the beginning of the year. Now this hot streak for the Umlauts sets up a very exciting game in Week 11, as Charles will face his stiffest test of the season, and we'll have our game of the week as the Umlauts take on Scissor Me Timbers. It's a battle of first place teams who are both riding hot streaks, thanks mostly to Saints running backs. So guys, you'll want to keep an eye on that one. And last but certainly not least, we had a battle of league powerhouses as the 7-3 Chill Out Inc. went up against the team that has overtaken them for first place in the Summerall division, Scissor Me Timbers. The red hot Scissor Me Timbers, 9-1, have not lost since week 1, folks. And I was wondering this week how Bry's team would fare with the Ezekiel Elliott suspension finally commencing, and so far so good. Scissor Me Timbers passed the test. Adrian Peterson did not have a good game in the RB2 role with only 1.5 points, but it doesn't really matter when you've got Mark Ingram scoring 3 touchdowns and just rumbling for 33 points. So for now, no Ezekiel Elliott means no problem for Scissor Me Timbers, but again, we'll see how they fare next week as they take on the Umlauts, the first place in the Sable division, and things will get interesting. Now for Chill Out Inc., you have to wonder if a little bit of concern is starting to set in about their hopes of winning the Summerall division. With only 4 weeks left in the season, Tony's team now sits 2 games back of Scissor Me Timbers. Alright, let's take a look at the old standings board through 10 weeks of the season. Now, 4 weeks remaining, guys. Only one team has been mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. But, you know, for a few others, it's going to be a long shot, but teams are still alive. So the only movement we saw this week was the Umlauts overtaking Fuck You for first place by themselves with that victory in the rivalry matchup. So Charles now sits at 7-3, still somewhat shockingly, given his 984.5 points scored, which is moved up a little bit into respectability, but still I think the 4th lowest total in the league. And I mean, when you look at the fact that the Pittsburgh Feelers have outscored the Umlauts, one team is 3-7, the other team is 7-3. Well, that's just fantasy football, guys. I guess it's just dumb luck, you know? Now, as I mentioned before, Shiny and Swishy has won 2 straight, so Dan's got to be looking over his shoulder a little bit, as Jeff is only 1 game out of the playoff spot now for 2nd place in the Sable division. Over in the Summerall, as we all know, Scissor Me Timbers continues to be red hot. They lead the league in points, they lead the league in wins, they have the best record, yada yada yada, but that's okay because, you know, they got a test coming up next week. After that, you got Chill Out Inc., who has dropped 2 in a row, but they're still at 7-3, so they're still looking good. And there's a little bit of a gap down to Kareeming Off Course and Big Ol' TDs, who both sit at 4-6. Both have come off wins, but they're still 3 games out of a playoff spot. So it's a long shot, but, you know, stranger things have happened. Alright, well, we're back here at BFFL HQ, and one little fun fact that I didn't mention is the 146 points scored by the Umlauts last week in Week 10. Believe it or not, that was actually the high score of the season by any team so far. I went back and checked, and that's the most points anybody's scored yet, so just another little excuse for me to give myself a little pat on the back. And I'll enjoy it while it lasts, because I'm probably getting crushed by Scissor Me Timbers this week, but, you know, we'll see what happens. We got lunch riding on the game, so I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you Saturday at Friendsgiving. It'll be a fun time, it always is. Great to catch up with all of you. Those who can't make it will be missed, and, well, you know, we'll see if my plan is able to be hatched. I'm basically going to get everybody drunk and then, you know, make you guys trade me your best players. So I'll see you Saturday, alright? And for now, keep on footballing and enjoy Week 11. Alright, see you later.